Hey everyone, so in this video, we'll be talking about something really important. We'll be talking about your mindset towards trading and a bit of psychology. So make sure you have a pen and paper nearby, right in your hand, so you can write down some of these useful tips, these useful thoughts, so you can improve on your trading. So pretty much the first one, them versus you, or like them versus us. So pretty much when you have them versus you, there are a few things. So a majority of the people aren't gonna believe forex actually works. So they're gonna probably think forex is a scam. They probably had some past experience with trading, investing, forex, um, and they just didn't have a good experience. Ultimately, they didn't have a learning experience, and the only thing they learned is that they shouldn't be doing investments, or investments are risky. There's a few things. These people. There's the cynics. There's the doubters. Especially if you like start forex, and people are gonna be like, that doesn't work. You just got, it's a pyramid scheme or something like that. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have some organizations out there like IML and all those brother sister companies that are pyramid schemes. They're just about recruiting more people, and then their trading information is just a whole lot of extra stuff. So pretty much, you do have a bunch of other things like these people will say that trading is a gamble or it's gambling, and ultimately, gambling just indicates that you don't know what you're doing. So, I mean, if you are taking a bunch of risks, you know that if you have a plan, if you have like an average, if you have something in your favor with those risks that you're taking, then you know that you can be profitable, and you're not taking a gamble because you have a system in place, you have something that is working for you. Pretty much, this adds on to another thing about like you personally. You have to realize that you can't give up. If you give up with trading, you'll never see the trading lifestyle results. You won't get any of those trading benefits if you give up, and a majority of the traders are giving up, and that's without a question, because trading is something that appears to be very complicated. Right now, another thing with that is when you're going through your trading process of like learning, gaining experience to be profitable. Now um, there are a lot of walls along your path. Like other people telling you negative things about forex, and then there's your own personal experience where you're not profitable. What if all these other people are right, and everything they said so far seems to be right? I keep losing. I exit a position and it goes in my direction right after that, or it hits my stop loss. Like as soon as it hits my stop loss, the profit comes right after. This type of stuff only plays these mental games with you. Ideally, the market is not just stopping you out and then continuing on. You just have your stops in the wrong place. It's really up to you if you want to be taking these people's advice. Now, it's not that everyone's giving you bad advice, but everybody's just giving you their own opinion, their own experience. So it's like, personally, with my trading experience, because I started trading when I was younger, about 5 years ago, and I'm 21 now. So yeah, so I'm in school, and after like high school, you're generally supposed to go into like college or university, and then get a good job and things like that. But I realized for myself that that's not a route I really wanted to go into. So I had to think about it, like, how am I gonna be able to get money, get a sufficient amount of money, the amount of money that I really want. And I found trading, right? So when I started trading, and if I tell people that I'm trading, people around me would just tell me like, that's not gonna work, or it's extremely unlikely that you will get there because the the chance of success is just so low, or what makes you so special, or there are just a numerous amount of excuses that a person can give. And obviously, if um, you're in the household, and people are, like, let's say your parents, for example, also don't believe in forex, like, especially the older generation. The older generation are more likely to tell you to go get a job, go to school, because like that was what was trending for them. There just might be those parents who never got an opportunity to go to school or get a good job. So they're really going to enforce that on you. And not to say that is wrong. Of course, you want a good job and you want to be educated, right? But in the world that we live today, we can see that like school is not having the success rate that it should. And then the whole job thing just isn't where the teachers promote like it should be there. The jobs just aren't there for the people. The money isn't there for the people. Um, Things like that. So pretty much the point that I'm getting at here is that you have to be very attentive to who you're listening to. Because you do have a lot of people just there trying to like put you down. And not everyone's trying to directly put you down, but it's just like the effects of the stuff that they're saying. Just keep in mind of that. You have positive self-talk and you have negative self-talk. So these things always just catch on like habits. So if you're hanging around a bunch of people who they don't like trading or they think trading is a scam, then you're probably either going to stop trading or something along the sort of that. I would just say for you being interested in trading, you want to see the results. Just focus on trading. There's nothing you can do but put in the hours, put in the time, and put in the effort so you can start seeing the results. The best time to always start something is now. Ultimately, that's them versus you. Do you want to see the results in trading? Do you want to keep going? But ultimately, I know the losses are hard through your experience of trading. Those losses can just seem like nothing's working. Me, from about 3.5 years of losing, I lost a considerable amount of money for not having a job until the last year of not being profitable with trading. And then you have them, which are going to be the cynics, the doubters, people who are going to tell you trading is just gambling, the people who tell you you can't do it, you're not special, that's way too much money for you to earn. These guys just don't see the vision. And there's no point in trying to show blind people the vision. They're just not going to see it. You just got to rock with what you have. So with number 2, we're going to talk about money. So money is a really big thing that controls the world. And we're going to talk about 2 aspects of money, the psychology of it, and then also the management of money. So to start off with psychology, there are a few things. Your emotions are very much correlated with the amount of money that you spend. So it's very important that you release that correlation between the two, because oftentimes this is the way it works out. You have the people that just spend money because they're sad, or it's called like retail therapy, I think, where a person just goes, they just want to spend money. And then you also have, there's just this weird psychology thing. Like let's say I'm gambling at a casino and I make $20, and then now all of a sudden I lose that $20 plus additional $20 out of my pocket. Now my brain goes into this mode where now I want to make $80. I no longer want to be, not even break even. I don't even want to make $20 back, but I also want to make back what I originally lost in the beginning. So additional of $40. And on top of that now, I want to make $80. And I won't be satisfied psychologically and mentally until I made $80. So that's just a big trick. A lot of people go throughout the day, and if they lose $20, they just automatically want to make $40 back. And that's just a really messed up mental thing. You got to think about it logically. If you just make your $20 back, then you're back where you started. You really don't need to go and make $40 now. So another thing is, if you look at the market, you kind of already know, because the major players in the market are the governments, are the central banks. It's the people with the largest amount of money ultimately, right? So the market is going to go where the money goes. Let's say the Canadian dollar is doing very strong internationally. They're having good trades. The businesses inside Canada are also doing really good. Everybody's having a job, things like this. You would then see the Canadian dollar rise because it's doing so well in the country itself. That the people in the country are doing well. They're doing well for themselves, right? So this reflects itself in a rising market because people are feeling good, right? Good things bring about other good things, and bad things would just bring about other bad things, right? So this is just something you got to keep in mind with psychology. Ultimately, you just have to remember that you are the person that's supposed to be using money. So it's either you're using money to your benefit or you're just like wasting money. So two good quotes that help keep that idea for myself. There's a very famous quote that says, "Doesn't it feel good to know you have an army of cash at your command?" Right? So you just gotta think about it. If you have $10,000, you have a bunch of $1 bills that you can attempt to send out and accumulate more money and then return to you. And then the other quote just says, "Send your limited soldiers where they may succeed." Right? So um, let's just say you're outnumbered because you do not have enough money to compete with the banks, the governments, things like this. So you send your small positions out to gain more than one. Like for example, if I'm giving out $1, um, I'm never trying to send that dollar out to make $1 or make $2 for that matter. I'm always trying to make $3 or more. It's just like you got to think about it. Would you risk a pencil to gain a house? Yeah, you would, right? Because the pencil obviously is valued less to you than the house. So another way of thinking about it, you would never risk a house to gain a pencil, right? The math doesn't make sense. You got to have that an idea of risk to reward in your head. So the other part that we'll touch on is money management. So with money management, not only for trading but just for like real life bank account money management, you know that ultimately you do need some financial literacy to know that these are certain financial things that I definitely should not do, or these are things that I should be doing, because like it's actually very easy to run out of money. Um, you just gotta have certain rules in place. Give yourself a budget because like you just need a budget. But aside from that, like also with trading, that like because things are always changing, if you're up a certain percentage, then you should be closing a certain amount of your trade or whatever the rules you have for your own trading system. So that's just important. Make sure you read some books or find a way to get some financial literacy so you can understand that you save 10% of everything you have for investments. You pay yourself first, and you make sure you spread out your investments in certain places, in the things that you know and you trust in. So the next thing on our list are the 5 basic trading fears. Now these fears aren't just trading in general. They're more like just like life fears. So first you have the fear of the unknown. So this is pretty much self-explanatory. A lot of people fear not knowing what will come next, and so that often leaves people in a state of paralysis. So they don't want to do anything. This leaves them in a number of states. So the reason I'm mentioning these is just so you can like be aware of these fears and know that you're not supposed to be having a relationship with these. You just have to have the confidence to know what you're doing, and you're not being held up with fear because you know that you're going to succeed in the end, right? So this is actually a page from my course. So for the fear of the unknown, we know that the solution for this is that the course is teaching you how the market moves and its conditions and things like this. So ultimately, you trust your analysis and you play your odds with low risk. So the next on the list is the fear of being wrong. So just like the fear of the unknown, a lot of people don't want to be wrong. I'm sure you can think of many personal situations where either you or another person really just doesn't want to be wrong. Now, in trading, when you don't want to be wrong, first of all, you might have not put a stop loss, so you just blow your entire account. Other than that, you might not want to take a loss, so you keep extending your stop loss. Or, a lot of people just don't want to be proven wrong. So in those cases, they might even enter a buy and a sell position on once and just see whatever they can do with that. So pretty much for being wrong, you just got to remember that trading consists of percentages and odds, and having a wrong or losing trade doesn't mean that the whole system doesn't work. because you can still win 5 and lose 5 and still be profitable if you're risking 1 to gain 3. There are just some simple basic mathematical stuff like risk to reward ratios, having an average. Next on that little list for the 5 basic fears is the fear of missing out. So you just know, I'm pretty sure you can think of situations like this where you probably didn't want to miss out as well. um, it's better just be level headed and forget missing out. You'll just catch the next wave when it comes. And my solution for this was just, you're not chasing your trades. Another trade is going to come. Trades are like trains, another one's always coming. So the other fear is the fear of losses. People hate losing. This is another one of the big things which restricts people from trading. That restricts people from trading profitably because they ultimately don't want to take losses. For this, you're just not trading money that you can't afford to lose at all. You have to have the casino's mindset to understand that you may lose some money here and there, but in the long run, because you do have things in your favor, you will still just win. And then number 5 is the fear of giving back profits. So I know I used to work too. It's the hardest thing to work. Let's say for 2 weeks you get your pay, and let's say you lose your check before you get to do anything with it. Obviously you can try to find a solution to this problem, but hypothetically, if you just lose your check or you just lose $1,000, then that's kind of like just losing all your hard work, right? Now, don't bite me for this, but don't get hung up on giving back some of the profits, because you ultimately remember that you know what you're doing. You have rules in place for all of your trading things, and ultimately in life things as well. Rules and regulations will help you get farther. So you know that just because I lose $100 out of my pocket, I'm not mad, because I know I can hop into the market and be able to produce more than my loss ultimately. So I'm not mad over giving back profits. And I say for trading, just use a trailing stop. When you're up a certain amount of pips, just move your stop loss over, and just things like that. So these are your 5 basic fears, and you just got to make sure you stay out of those. You have solutions to these, so you're not getting hung up on the fear of the unknown, the fear of being wrong, the fear of missing out, the fear of losses, and the fear of giving back profits. Because ultimately, these 5 major things are going to restrict your trading and restrict your ability to get ahead in life. So number 4 will be a 3-part little series. So this has to do with your trading journey, because you got to know trading won't be a get rich quick scheme. You won't get it in a month. I congratulate you if you get it in a month. I congratulate you if you get it in 5 months. Trading is more of a process, just like many other things in life. When a baby's learning to walk, it's a process. You don't see them giving up. So the first step in your trading journey is to gain experience. Nothing else. Don't even be trying to get money. Don't be trying to pull off the most skilled stuff. Just play around with it. Get some experience. Be like, okay, this one moves fast. This one moves slow. This one makes a lot of wicks. I like this one. I don't like this one. Just get some experience for what it does. Do you like financial news? Do you like technical news? Whatever the case, you're just getting experience. That's the first stage of anything. Forget the money. Yeah, ultimately, I know you joined the market for the money, but the money is ultimately not the real goal here. Me as a trader, I'm trying to get pips. I'm just trying to get pips. So pips ultimately correlate to dollars, but it's dollars will also have something to do with the amount that you're investing. Ultimately, I just want pips, and I want a percentage. I want a percentage of my account rather than a certain dollar amount. The dollar amount comes after, when you have a large enough account that you can be withdrawing from. The second part of this, so the first one is just getting experience with trading, seeing how Forex works, whether you want to do stocks or things like that. So the second part would just be growth. Okay, so growth just has something to do with growing your account from a low balance to a high balance. Now, for my students, I'm never going to recommend depositing $10,000 balances, no matter how confident you are. unless you just have that money at your disposal, like that's 1% of your money or something. Realistically, I'm more focused on depositing on $1,000 or less, for like personal reasons. Like I know I've done a few accounts back in the past where I started at 5,000, and I think the other one I started at about 15. So you can do those. I'm not saying it's totally wrong, but let's just think about this logically for a second. Like let's say you're a good trader or whatever the case, that you can make a profit. Why not just start with an $100 account and grow that up to $10,000, where now you can make a living off that same $100 basically that you started with, but now you can withdraw from this account. So this stage is all about growing the account. Start off from a lower balance, something that's not going to hurt you emotionally if you lose, because like I mentioned this before, if you do go deposit, let's say $100,000 account, let's say you saved up for this money, it took you 5 years to save up for this, and you've just been practicing trading, you've been practicing on a demo account, let's say, for 5 years, and now that you've saved up this money, you're ready to deposit and go live. First of all, this is just a bad way to start, because you are demoing your trades. You're not getting that emotional side of trading if you're on the demo, first of all, and that is one of the most important parts that you cannot forget. I don't demo my trades because I always want to be training my emotions to be able to handle the market. Another one thing about like psychology, if I'm trading $100,000 account, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I lost 14K, it was in a day. That broke my heart. I had stopped trading for the week. That whole risk management, psychology thing is there, and it's not worth ignoring that. So it's like if you start off with $100 account and all your profits are really like, let's say, between $3 and $13, this really isn't attractive to you, I know, but you got to think about what's actually counting the pips. How many pips are you actually making, and what is the percentage that you're actually making? Are these profitable numbers? If they're profitable, that's all you really need to keep on going. Now, the third step in all of this is where the money actually comes in. So after you actually go through, you gain some experience, you actually grow your account to something that you can live off of, or just pay for whatever you want to pay for. This is where all of your progress, this is where everything has worked its way to where you can now basically you can get all the money that you once dreamt of in the beginning, because now you're making profit. You didn't risk a whole lot of money because, first of all, you spend the time to get experience with what's going on, and then you could have learned from someone else, so you get that edge of not having to go through the whole trial and error process yourself. And then you have the confidence beside you because you've grown a small account to a large account. Trust me, doing something like this will boost your confidence so much, because you know that you can do it. You have the proof that you can do it because you've done it. So the next thing about mindset that we're going to touch on is wins and losses. So realistically, we all know that losses hurt. From these emotional attachments to actually wins and losses. Wins feel good and losses feel bad. Now, as a trader, I very understanding that both wins and losses, they don't mean nothing. The overall statistics, the overall like average that you're having matters a whole lot more than whether I'm experiencing a win right now or I'm experiencing a loss right now. It's like, let's say, out of every 10 shots, you make 7 of them and you lose 3. Are you going to give up when you're losing one of those 3? And now, are you just going to give up because of that? When you already know in the back of your head that you're going to win 7 of them. You're going to win 70% of the time. Are you going to get hung up and sad and mad and, just feel the worst because you're losing 3 out of the bunch? This really isn't much to talk on, but just know that there's a huge emotional connection between wins and losses and your actual good and bad emotions that you feel. It's like in trading, if I go on a string of bad losses, I'm not taking this to the heart. First of all, because I know my average, I know my results, and I believe in myself. If I go through a string of winning trades, I'm also not letting this get the best of me, investing more, letting my ego get out of control, right? I'm just staying level-headed and I'm continuing with the process, with my rules that I have in place to be successful, to maintain my average, or you know what, journal your trades and increase your average. So for number 6 on our mindset list, we're going to be talking about risks to rewards. So we kind of just mentioned this a bit previously. So this is one of the things you're going to need in your mind to help build on this, and this will help build on your confidence. So just common sense risk to reward things. You're not risking $1 to gain 1 cent. You're not risking $1 to gain $1. You're not risking $1 to gain. You can risk $1 to gain 2, but you got to have some standards for yourself at least. So I know there are certain traders who are only going to risk 1 to gain 10. Me personally, I'm only trying to risk 1 to gain at least 3 or more. So I'm not risking 1 to gain 2. And if that is not an understandable term, just think about, like, I always blow it out of proportion in a way and like risk a house for a pencil. No, you wouldn't do that. That just doesn't make sense, because 1 obviously provides you shelter and 1 is a writing utensil, or you be creative. It can be other things. This can be an edge that you put in your favor, because you realize that, I can be sending out $1 to gain a minimum of $2 no matter what. So as long as you have an average of, let's say, I think about 40%, and if you're right 40% of the time and you're sending out all of your $1 to gain a minimum of $2 and come back to you, then that you do have an edge in place, so you can be able to capitalize on this. And obviously, that's one thing trading is really about, stacking the odds in your favor, because obviously we're not the ones to say the market will rise and then the market will rise. We're just trading based on indications. Is the market indicating that it wants to fall right now? And then we'll apply risk management to this, apply risk rewards to this, patience, money management, a bunch of things like this to help stack the odds into our favor. So another thing to also consider is how long you stay exposed. So another word for risk would kind of just be like exposure. You got to think about it. How exposed are you at this current moment? And then as time progresses on, let's say you're starting a 100-meter dash and you're now 60% of the way, your exposure is less because you're almost done the race now. You're watching your back, you're not staying exposed, and you're managing your risk, and you're not leaving room for error and things to go south on. So the next thing about mindset that we got to touch on is 3 types of trading. So low risk, medium risk, and high risk trading. So ultimately, these 3 types of trading depend on your personality, your appetite for risk. Low risk, really low risk for me would be like an $1,000 account trading 0.01s. And high risk to me would be a $100 account trading 0.10s. Really, you just got to know what type of trader are you. Do you want to try to specialize in high risk? Now, if you do high risk trading, it's going to be a pain. Like you will do nothing but take losses consistently until your skills get better. But one thing I do like about high risk trading is that it's going to improve your quality of trading, because ultimately when you're high risk trading, you don't have a lot of room for error, so you need to be more on point, more specific, more on the job for this one. But low risk, I'm more likely to place my trades and just let them run. And I'm more laid back. I'm very conscious of the fact that losing my trades don't mean the end of the world. And I can still make a comeback. So a type of thing for these these type of accounts, whether you have a low risk account, a medium risk account, or a high risk account, is that you know how to trade it and you know the results that each of them should produce. So you know that your high risk account shouldn't have a stop loss above 35 pips. Then you do that for that. You have a low risk account, your stop loss can be 100 pip max. Then you do that for that. But you're not going to apply that low risk over to the high risk, and you're not really mixing them because each account is going to have different rules ultimately. The rules and regulations that you build for your own trading is very important. So make sure you at least have those in trading. I know when I started trading, I thought trading would have been like, just place your bets and we'll just wait to see where it goes. I still do have that mindset, but I thought it was more gambling then, and I really had no idea what I was doing. But then that just goes to change as I realized that I need rules in certain places to protect me, like a stop loss, so important. Because you never know, realistically, you never know which trades are going to lose and which trades are going to win. So having that stop loss in place helps protect you from those losing trades. So number 9 is actually really important, and this just touches on balance and like meditation, whatever you got to do to stay balanced. Make sure you're drinking water. Because your emotions in trading are highly correlated, let's say you got into a fight one day or you're like extremely heated. Now you try to go trade, you might not be able to perform as well just because your mind is ultimately on different things, or it's not fully focused on the trade. You might be applying some bias somewhere, and you not even realize it, right? Because the brain is one of those things, the sun sends subtle things across. You've been noticing it. So pretty much, like even if you're sick, you might not do the best trading because you just ultimately can't focus. So what we need to work towards is gaining a sense of balance, and meditation isn't necessary, but it's like what a lot of traders like result to help stay balanced throughout the day. Build a work schedule so you can have some consistency to work with, things like this. You just gotta remember that you need to stay balanced. You're not looking at the charts all day. If you're looking at the charts all day, first of all, the screen time is going to give you a headache. There's just a bunch of other things. If you're just watching the charts all day, your emotions are going to go up and down drastically, just because, first of all, if you're watching it all the time like that, you're having a dopamine release in your head because you're getting like a thrill from trading. It's a sense of gambling for you maybe right now, and you're probably on the 15-minute time frame or lower. So make sure that you're not on the charts all the time. Like, it's not just chart work you're doing. You're probably also like spending time with other people. You're also, you're living your life. It's not about trading all the time, every time. You got to make sure you don't need to bring your charts into the shower. You don't need to bring your charts into the pool for picture purposes. But ultimately, you need to make sure that you're not feeling stressed about trading. You're not feeling stressed about many things for that matter. But, you're also like playing games. Make sure you're like having some sense of fun in your life. Just other things. The point is, it's not all about trading. Make sure you have a balance. Make sure you're staying relaxed. Drink water so you're always hydrated. Make sure you eat quality food because you want to make sure that your thinking is right. You want to make sure you're healthy because you are an investment here. You got to make sure you're healthy so you can produce good trades. So this is the next one, and this one's also really important. A matter of fact, all of these are important. That's why I'm mentioning it to begin with. But this one just talks more about patience, confidence, belief, and like being loyal. So trading will take a certain degree of patience. Now, if you're a swing trader, you'll need more patience. If you're an investor, so you're holding your positions from like weeks to months to years, you are gonna need a whole lot more patience. If you're a scalper, you'll need the least of patience, but you still will need patience. Now, the patience thing is very important because, like the course information, that I don't specify how long I will be holding a trade because my trades are not time-based. There are certain strategies where you can get them time-based, like I'm only holding this position for 1 day max. More day traders will be like that as well. But at least for my strategy, They're not time based at all. I place my trade when I see the opportunity, so I'm not trading based on the time sessions and the Asian session, the New York session, things like this. I take my opportunities when I see them. So you need to be aware that you will have to be waiting for your trades to hit their target. It's not, I place my trade 20 minutes later, I will be in profit. Because a lot of those times you do experience drawdown. A lot of those times you are in a drawdown for 3 days, you know, and being in a drawdown in 3 days doesn't feel good on your emotions. So make sure you don't have that emotional attachment, because you know that you can be in drawdown for 3 days and then still have that trade still hit your take profit, right? It's just simple things that we have in place to keep the risks, the rewards, the odds, and stuff in our favor. So another thing is to have confidence. Do what you need, whether it's just like trade a small account so you can grow that to gain some confidence. Affirmations will also be really good with gaining confidence. You know, tell yourself that you can do it. You gotta tell yourself you can do it, point blank period, to begin with. But you know, if you want to make 10 pips because you're not making any right now, say that's what you want to do, and then go out, try, get that done. You know, take a little break, congratulate yourself in a way, and go on, make a higher goal, and then go smash that next goal and repeat. Make sure that you say thank you to yourself. You know, you did a good job. You hit those goals, and that's what it's about ultimately. Remember why you started trading and work your way to having that goal accomplished. Now, confidence is something that is really important, because if you're going through a string of bad losing trades, the confidence is there like a stop loss to pretty much be like, you know how things work. No need to feel sad, no need to be mad, things like that, because you're taking losses, because you know what your average is, and you know that you can still win in the end, because you know you have the confidence. First of all, you have the stats as another set of confidence, and you have your own experience with trading as another set of confidence. So the confidence is definitely important, because you got to be able to trust in your analysis. If you're not trusting in your analysis, then like you don't believe in yourself, you don't have the faith, you probably don't even really believe that your trades are going to work out, and you probably have the fear of the unknown going on. And to talk about belief, you got to believe in your plans, you got to believe in yourself. Like all those like positive like quotes that you might see, and then you see like traders post these things as well. It's, to me, I feel like it's more just it just comes with like that trading lifestyle, because like I mentioned previously, with going through the trading process, you're going to have a lot of people believing that you can't do it, and then being at the end of the road, seeing that you've done it, you know that like you do have a lot of people saying that it can't be done, and you being a testament that it can actually be done is just another thing that's gonna stack on your belief, your confidence. You gotta believe that you can have it. If you want, just spend the day daydreaming about it, and then another day planning that out. So you guys gotta make sure you're believing in yourself, you're believing in like the risk management, the mindset. You have your trading plan in place. Okay, if this doesn't work out, then I have this in place to protect me. If this doesn't work out, then I have this in place to protect me. If I go through a string of bad trades, I know I have a good risk to reward ratio there to protect me. Things just like that, because the markets is ultimately a place of uncertainty. No profits are ever guaranteed, but you can stack things in your favor to make a profit. Now, the other thing, this also plays into having patience, having belief and confidence, is like being loyal to your plan. Now, when you start trading and you're experiencing those losses in the beginning, you may just jump from strategy to strategy to strategy, because you're trying to find the right one. And ultimately, you're just looking for a strategy that fits with your personality. Forget about the wins and losses, because risk management is going to put all that in place. You need to stop switching strategies, stop adjusting unless you're actually going through an adjusting phase, unless you're like actually trying to improve what you already have. Then you shouldn't be trying to adjust it. Okay, it's like after trading, you're adjusting your strategy every week because something isn't working. You ultimately don't believe that that's going to work out. And it's just important that you have like a set of rules and you follow those rules blindly, right? So it's like for my trading, I have a set of rules in place and I know, okay, if this doesn't work out, then I have these things here. And I'm not trying to break away from my rules like at all. And like I mentioned previously, you have the traders that don't even have a set of rules, and then there are the traders who don't know what rules to put in place, right? And then when you also have the other set of traders who have the rules in place but are unable to actually follow these rules because of lack of emotional discipline. So you just got to make sure you have those rules, you put them in place, and you're trading to the system blindly. You don't need opinions and bias to be along with this. I don't need 1,000 other people. I don't need one other person to agree with me on my bias because I'm trading independently ultimately. And then this just has to go into what I want to talk about lastly. And this is like so important, so important. At least now that I'm also growing as a trader and I'm looking to like increase my discipline and other things like this. I see it more and more among like other people, other traders, other like celebrities, and other people who have the things that they want. So this is just to talk about independence. So right now you're probably a beginner trader, or you're just still a trader that is experiencing a high amount of losses, right? You don't have the confidence, things like that. Now let's just fast forward a bit until you are a profitable trader, and let's just envision this. You will need to be independent, right? Ultimately, when you're trading, that's what you're working towards, a state of financial independence, right? So you're going to need to be independent, right? Now, there's a lot of traders who are still on that trading journey, but seem to neglect the fact that they're working for independence. Now, when you actually get there, it's not just financial independence, but it will also be mental independence, because realistically, and I know a lot of people know this now, but it's like in stages you realize it becomes more and more important that you cannot be taking advice from everybody. When you're a trader, you have to be placing your trades based on your own analysis, because it's like I mentioned in the course videos, there are so many ways to analyze the market, and I'm never going to be one to say that this method is wrong or this method is like, like this method for sure doesn't work, because you have things that you can stack in your favor to make this actually profitable, to make this actually work, right? So who cares on what everybody else is thinking? Place your trade, put your money where your mouth is, place your stop loss, and see if it works out. But this just goes into things in life. You would have people telling you, oh, this is a great investment, this is a great investment, because obviously you want to expand your you now want to expand and try to accumulate more money. You just have those people who are telling you like, this is a good investment, this is a good investment, right? You have to go ahead and do your own research, because even if these people do know what they're talking about, you have too many people that will ultimately try to lead you astray. And trading is going to help build that independence. When you're independent trader, you don't have to be asking for funds from A, B, C, D, whatever. And the same thing goes for mental thoughts. Like, of course, if you do want the opinions of other people, then you ask. But it's important that you need to know what the things that you want. I trust my own thoughts. I trust my own strategies. Look how far I've gotten. I'm going to be confident enough to trust myself and actually follow through on my own thoughts